Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Garbage Time Takes. My name's Derek. I'm finally back from my 2-week hiatus here with my co hosts who have held it down in the meantime, Dennis and Bob.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back, Derek.
Appreciate it. It's been a minute. Glad to be back. It's not easy being away from the boys for 2 weeks, but had some stuff we just had to do. But Dennis, Bob, spring training has gotten up and rolling in the week since you guys recorded the last pod, and now we're almost a full week through spring training. Obviously, spring training doesn't mean much, but Dennis, I know you're excited because it means baseball is officially back, and the start of the regular season is about a month away. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, from your years as a Cubs fan, and probably again this year, it's a little harder to get up and excited when you know that your team is not going to be very good. But it's still baseball, and when the first game went down Saturday and the Reds won on a walk-off home run, I couldn't help but get a little bit excited, even though it didn't mean anything. And that what's the line from Major League? Like, off a dude going to be bagging groceries in a couple weeks,
Something like
something
that.
like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So that's pretty accurate. We got several grocery baggers on the Reds roster too. Maybe some that might even be on the opening day roster. And unfortunately, but it's still baseball. I'm still excited, and I mean, I'm never going to not be excited about baseball. Opening day in Cincinnati will be packed. It is a literal holiday, and
because there's nothing else to do in Cincinnati.
That's really cool. It's because we're the first professional baseball franchise, Derek, and it's got to be it's a tradition that's well honored and well respected in the Queen City, and I will be taking part as usual, but it could be a rough 2023 for the boys in red and white.
Bob, as our resident primary Detroit Tigers fan, as I like to point out, I am a secondary Detroit Tigers fan. I'm sure you've been much more tuned in onto the Tigers side of things. Bob, are some of these guys on the team gonna have to learn Chinese in their near
future? They may be playing in the Chinese Baseball League very soon. Yeah, I mean, it's always fun because you get to see some new names and some guys that are truly fighting for their opportunity, their shot, their careers out there in spring training. Because especially when it comes to bullpen arms, guys like that definitely have a chance. If they're hot to get called up or get an opportunity, and so it's fun to see that happen. And it's also just been really cool to see all the new rule implementations that have been kind of going on during the spring training period. And so I was looking to get your guys' thoughts on the pitch and bat count and stuff like that. So
sure, Dennis, I didn't know if these topics were ones you guys had covered last week, so I didn't bring it up off the jump. But yeah, Dennis, we've got a pitch clock, 20 or 15 seconds with no runners, 20 seconds with runners on, and the batter must be ready to receive a pitch by 8 seconds. We've got slightly wider bases, and I believe we covered that a while back. At least we did in our group chat. I don't know if we actually discussed it on the pod. And the banning of the shift. So those are really the three big rules. They're also keeping the extra runner on in extra innings, the ghost runner per se. So Dennis, we can just walk right down the list of rules, and obviously start out with the one that's definitely caused the most noise thus far, the pitch clock.
Well, I mean, I was going to say it. If you want to say some things on it first, since you haven't really spoke yet, I mean, be my guest, because I have some pretty strong opinions, and I don't want to shape the direction. I mean,
okay.
You're not going to back down from whatever your opinion is
anyway,
so it doesn't matter to you. But.
Sure. I'll lead it off. I do not consider myself a baseball purist by any means. I am a purist in the sense that I want more people to experience baseball. It is my favorite sport of all time. And as someone who has sat in a stadium, I was at the Cubs opening day against the Giants. They won last Saturday. As someone who has sat in the stadium with the pitch clock going on, I thought the flow of the game was phenomenal. It really does cut down on all of the aimless wandering around that happens between pitches, cuts down on guys re-strapping their batting gloves 3 or 4 times, adjusting their cup, walking around, taking a little break. Um, and I think through the early games, I think last year's regular season average was like 3 minutes and or 3 hours 5 minutes, 3 hours 9 minutes, something like that. The spring training games are all hovering right around 2.5 hours. Um, so nearly 30 minutes worth, over 30 minutes worth of time that has been cut out from the game. I can see Dennis smirking, so maybe he's not a big pitch clock fan, but I think it'll be interesting because we saw a couple instances where guys started with a ball or guys started with a strike. I think Manny Machado was the first player in spring training to start with the 0-1 count before receiving a pitch. We also saw a game end because a strikeout was called because the batter wasn't ready to receive the pitch. And I think a lot of those things are going to be phased out as guys get used to having the pitch clock regularly. And I'm of the opinion that, once we get a month or two in the season, the pitch clock will almost be irrelevant because guys will just already be wired to keep it moving. So at least we can start with the pitch clock before moving into others. I've actually been a big fan of it, and yeah, I've actually been a fan.
Derek, I'm shocked. I'm shocked we disagree. I'm shocked. I absolutely floored that we disagree. I mean, here's the thing. Yeah, sure, you have some good points. I'm not gonna kind of decide on day 4 of spring training that it's a horrible idea and it will never be good for the game, because that's a little bit hasty. And I wouldn't say I really would consider myself a baseball purist either. But and I don't care about, like, I know people are kind of falling down on the side of, well, the game doesn't need to be shortened versus the game does need to be shortened. If it's a little shorter, it's probably a good thing to get more eyes on the game, which is, I think, part of what you're saying, and it makes sense. I don't personally care if the games are long, but if it means other people are going to start watching baseball more and the younger generation will watch baseball more, I'm not going to be an old man about it. My problem lies specifically with what you alluded to, which is the potential, which we've already seen, for the literal deciding of games based on, once again, a completely nothing to do with the actual player's ability on the field. It's just like referees in football and referees in basketball, and it's not a bad implementation or a bad call by the umpires. It's literally the rule. And it's not like a questionable, did they make the right call on the clock or not, but it's just another outside factor that is going to potentially determine ball 1 on an 0-0 count, probably not the end of the world, but to end up walking guys or end up striking out guys to end games or in crucial situations, I'm just incredibly annoyed that it's going to have nothing to do with the actual pitch versus the batter trying to hit that pitch, and that it's just going to be this outside thing. Oh, they weren't ready in time. That's bull. I'm sorry. That is absolute bull. And if I would have liked it better before, when I would have rather sat there for the other 20 seconds while the batter adjusted his glove to see him actually try to hit the ball rather than getting called out on strike 3 because he wasn't ready.
Bob, any thoughts? I don't really have. I think your feelings are valid, Dennis. So I don't really have anything to argue against. I just I'd like to. I'm a very positive-minded person more often than not, which is why me and Bob get along so well because he's like an eternal pessimist. But I like to think that as guys get used to it through the first few weeks of the season, and I won't be surprised if we have a couple rather controversial situations arise through the first month of the season. But I really do think I think there was a stat for the minor league teams last year that it was only happening like one every 2 games, I think, league wide in terms of pitch clock violations, either from the batter or the pitcher over the course of the regular season. Right now, I think the pitch clock violations are like twice per game league wide. But yeah, I think it could be an issue for the beginning, but I like to think as the players get used to it, um, those issues will probably be less common.
And I think you're right about that. I'm sorry, I know Bobby hasn't said anything. I think you're right about that. The fact it just still bothers me that it's there. Like, sure they're going to get used to it, and sure it will probably be fairly rare, but the fact that it happens at all and that it's something that's even possible is still bothersome to me.
Sure.
I understand it from both perspectives. I would say I lean on the side of not a fan because I like the free content. I just like watching the extra half hour of the broadcast. maybe that makes me
I like
weird.
That too.
But I think that maybe I'm wrong, but as a relatively new fan of the game, I would say for most people, I don't think watching an entire baseball game is is what most people generally do. Even like the hardcore, like even some of the more hardcore fans, I think it's pretty rare that people like sit down and watch, catch every single waking second of the game, except if it's like the playoffs. Then people are very much tuned in for all 162 games. And I understand making the game shorter does make it more likely that people will catch those things. I just think that if baseball wanted to make more eyes tune in, I think the first thing they should have done was cut down the number of games, because then the games are more meaningful. But I also just like watching the free broadcast, because that just means there's an extra half hour that even if I'm watching the whole game, I get to hear them talk shop and watch some baseball. And if it's not, if I'm just tuning in a little bit, it's an extra little bit of time that I can catch the game. But most people, I don't think, are watching whole games. I'd be interested to know if that was like, if they've done like research on that. But yeah, from a personal thing, I would like them to have a longer broadcast because I just like watching it's just something to watch. It's fun.
I think
I'm kind of with you on that too, because even at the games too, like going to games, maybe I just don't have a life, and maybe everybody else does. But like, if I'm paying for a ticket, I don't mind if the game is 4 hours long. Where do I gotta go? I got nowhere. I went to the baseball game. Like, the longer I'm there, the better. It's fun.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the things a lot of people I saw arguing was like, the whole reason I go to a baseball game is to like sit around and just relax and do nothing, which is a totally fair and valid point. Some of us, like me, like to watch the game, but not necessarily like maybe spend all day watching a baseball game. But certainly, like, it'll be interesting for like actual attendance, because like it almost comes down to like your price per hour. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If how much value is lost from $150 ticket for a 3 hour and 15-minute game versus a 2 hour and 40-minute game. So those will be the types of things I'm interested to see. Is what is going to be like the impact on either attendance or prices. But at the same time, like an NBA game. How long's an NBA game, Bob? Approximately.
I mean, probably maybe a touch shorter than the spring training games have been.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Mean, 2 hours.
2:15 maybe.
Yeah.
2:15.
Yeah.
So it probably won't have too much of a difference, but I get this point of like, I just want to go to the baseball game and just vibe out, and I get that. But I think one of the reasons it's going to be helpful is, at least in the beginning of the season, it may increase the frequency of mistakes made by pitchers. I think this is going to lead to a lot of offense, which I think is what the league is trying to get at.
It's exactly what they want with everything that they're trying to do.
Is increase offense, because offense and scoring and homers and doubles and exciting plays brings people to the games, gets them to watch games. It's much more exciting than watching a bunch of guys strike out all game. So I think definitely the baseball purist was not at mind at the heart of these rule changes, because let's be honest, the baseball purist isn't going away no matter how many rule changes they make. If there's a guy out there who says, I ain't watching the MLB no more because of this darn pitch clock, they're a bunch of liars. And if they are actually leaving the game, see ya. Because there's still baseball being played, and I think that's what matters most. But yes, Dennis, I think it's very much offensive minded, and we'll see how that, helps or hurts them, because another thing with the pitch clock is pitchers get what? 2 throwovers per batter, and then if they throw over to first base or second base or whatever, step off the mound a third time, it's a balk if it's not a successful pickoff. So that's obviously a rule change implemented to increase stolen bases, the increased base size, while player safety was at the forefront. A not so disappointing consequence of that could also be stolen bases, because it's going to decrease the distance from base to base by, I don't know, a good half a foot. And how many times are there plays at the plate, plays at second base that are literally mere inches? So I don't know. I just think it'll be interesting to see whether this is implemented long term, or if like 1 year of Pavlovian conditioning is enough to like sort of eliminate all the other stuff, and they go away from the pitch clock because the games, they'll sort of find that happy medium.
If I could make a comment on a couple other things, another interesting point is how the shorter games affect ad money for the league. If that affects like how much the players can actually, how much the teams are making, and by extension how much money the players are ending up seeing in the end. I don't know if that has a role, but when you have an extra half hour, 45 minutes of games happening, that's a half hour, 45 minutes of commercials that play.
Well, and, I don't know.
Value.
I don't know if it is, because commercials are only played between innings and during pitching changes. Because I think the 30 minutes that they're losing is pitchers wandering around the mound, James Karinchak bouncing the ball 800,000 times, and then asking for a new ball, and then getting a new ball, guys calling timeout. So I'm of the opinion that ad money, at least from TV
ad money, yes,
won't be impacted, because the time they're cutting out isn't ad time. It's ambient time within the actual inning of the game itself. So that's what I think.
But stadium ad money,
I could see that being impacted.
Could be affected. And then another thing I was going to say about another one of the changes that was made. I'm very, very happy to see the banning of the shift. Because I don't know, it's so, for me, it was just like, sure, if you're a major league player, you should be able to hit both ways. And I agree with that. I do. It's just is what it is. But the amount of ridiculous formations you would see out there. So like so like a guy couldn't hit like, a guy would clearly hit a ball good enough to be a hit, and it would just get stopped because they have like 3 guys in shallow right field. It was just dumb, and 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 honestly, like if the offensive part of that is just really exciting for me, because I think that alone is going to bring so much more offense. Because how many guys were we seeing? It was actually a ton. I mean, I honestly I say MLB players should be able to hit both ways, and I in my heart I guess I believe that. But there were so many guys that
hit absolute ropes.
Maybe it wasn't a complete shift, but they were modifying their defensive lineup almost every batter, because it's so easy to just look at where the spread of their balls is going historically, and then just move your defense that way, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's a smart thing to do if it's allowed to happen. But at the same time, it was just like you'd see a lot of solid contact get made, like you said, Derek, like just ropes being hit, and then just nothing coming from it because guys were exactly right in the right spot because they knew exactly where the ball was going. And it's so difficult to hit the ball as it is. I think some people just don't really realize how hard it is to hit the ball, even for people that train their entire lives to do this. And you get 3 out of 10 and get on base, and that's success. I think that it's cutting them a little bit of a break. And I'm really excited to see, and that's not like dingers being hit. It's just like singles and like base knocks that guys would have gotten that, now they're, they got robbed of, but now they're going to get, which are just like, it's just fun to see. It's just, a little bit of action, like you were saying.
Dennis, you had a smirk on your face. Your thoughts on the banning of the shift?
I've never been a ban the shift guy. I really haven't. I've always thought it was a dumb idea that you should be able to play wherever you want to. I mean, they don't ban prevent defense in football.
Well, that's because prevent defense is stupid and never works.
Okay, it was an example. I agree with you. But you don't ban certain defensive positioning in any other. Like, it just seemed dumb to ban something that was a team literally trying to get an advantage for itself, as you pointed out, in a statistically relevant and intelligent way. However, I do agree with some of your points, and I guess I'll say, while I never have been a ban the shift guy, I am interested to see how it turns out, and I think it has some potential, because on the one side of things, which should be good, sure, you can get more offense. I'm not really there has to be more offense in the game guy, because I think defense is just as important. But where I do see there being another potential with this is actually in like highlight defensive plays, because now you have like each player has more ground to cover with, like, on the infield, and you don't have the shortstop standing behind you between first and second, and so now the second baseman has to range over and make a dive for that ball in the middle. And so, like, I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'll be interested to see if we get some more, incredible defensive plays, because I think that's a really fun part of the game, or at least attempts at good defensive plays. Probably going to net more offense, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I've never been a big ban the shift guy, but and maybe it's just because the pitch clock thing has me so up in arms that it's now taken a backseat to that. But I am interested to see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, the shift is a relatively new concept. Like Joe Madden was like one of the pioneers of the defensive shift when the Cubs started their World Series run. So really, unless my baseball historian knowledge is super whack, we're really just only going back in time, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years, maybe, back to what baseball was like then. Sans pitch clock.
I don't not like it because it's not because you're changing the game as it's always been. It's just, I thought it was an innovative adjustment that teams made, and I think that players should have to adjust offensively, like Bobby said, hit the ball the other way. If you start hitting the ball the other way, they're going to stop shifting because it's not going to work anymore. It's just all of sports is making adjustments against what the other team is trying to do, right?
I purely look at it from the perspective of at least statistically speaking, the defense has such an advantage in baseball that
agreed.
It just inadvertently, it just by the way that the game is set up and the way players. I mean, there are elite players on offense and defense on both sides, but the elite defensive players are just so much more statistically elite than offensive players that it kind of like. I'm just saying, like, it's so hard to be a good, like, have good range of motion all over the field all the time consistently, that making guys stay in a standard defensive setup where they're still, I mean, they're just, I don't know what the exact rules are, but I'm sure there's a little bit of movement permitted, as long as they don't like switch over like the halfway point. But
you have to have both feet on the dirt. You can't have feet on the grass, and there has to be 2 players on each side of the bag.
Okay. On each side of the second base?
Second base bag.
Okay. Yes. So, I mean, you could still, I mean, that's still quite a bit of movement that's allowed. I mean, you could put one guy, your 2 guys could be way over on the right side if they're on, the first base, and one guy standing deep, one guy standing shallow. There's still a lot of different things you can do with that. Sure, there's less. You can't put a guy way out in the outfield now because of it. But
no, but you can. And what
I'll be a 5-man infield.
What I'll be interested to see.
I jumped the gun.
What I'll be interested to see is, will teams start playing a sort of, let's say it's a lefty that they want to shift for. Will they bring their left fielder to left center and then play a right center, right field lineup? So have 2 guys on one side of the outfield and one guy to cover the entirety of the other side of the outfield. That's the type of shift I'll be interested to see, because I believe that's legal.
Exactly. Yes. And that's still all allowed. So
that's just like playing with 8 players back in Little League. When you only had 8 guys to play a game, you had to play right center, left center.
Well, if they ban that too, I mean, whatever. I mean, like I said, these are singles that we're talking about here. The shift was really ever intended to stop singles, really, because they're lining up guys in shallow, right field, shallow left field, putting another guy over there to stop it. And if you hit it the other way, you're really only getting, like, even if you beat the odds and go the other way that they're blocking, you're really only getting a single out of it.
Yeah, but a base hit versus an out is massive.
No, I mean, a base hit versus an out, I understand that. But when the best hitters in the game struggle to get 3 hits out of 10 for even a single, it's tough. I mean, I understand why they're trying to give them, even the playing field a little bit. And sure, that does inflate numbers. And to some extent, I can see how that takes away from, like, greatness, like because the game of baseball has been so standard throughout history. When you start changing things like that, then you have to start having, like, era discussions, because the game has really changed. So I'll be interested to see how that takes effect, because I know how that's taken effect in the NFL and how it's taken an impact in the NBA. Just like how the rules have changed over time to more geared towards offense. And then you have guys that are doing way better on offense. And then you have to look back on guys that baseball has famed as historically great. And you have to say, well, how good were they compared to those other guys? So now that these rules are starting to take place, that's going to have to be a discussion that's going to start to be had, because, I mean, maybe not with the shift rule necessarily, like Derek was saying, because that was normality until 5 seconds ago. But as baseball continues to move in the direction of more offense and continues to make more drastic changes, because, like Derek has pointed out and many have said, it's just kind of what viewers want to see. It gets more plays on Sports Center every morning. you love to see people hitting 450-foot bombs. It's just it's bound to happen. That discussion is going to have to start happening, and so that it'll be interesting to see when that starts to take hold, or if it does, and what the changes ultimately end up being.
Not to get too philosophical and off topic, but when you were talking there just made me think of it, because I know we have some actual stuff to get to too. But I think it's interesting because to some extent you already have to kind of do that with baseball because of different stadium sizes and shapes. And
that's true.
Colorado is so much different than everywhere else. And like the numbers, and you're right, like it's a standard game and it's been standardized over the years. But the interesting thing about baseball is that there are certain factors that don't necessarily change the outcome of individual games because both teams are playing given the same factors, but they could change the outcome of statistics. And I don't know, you could say there's more of a home field advantage, I guess, because there's an actual difference in home field versus other sports that are standardized.
Which I've never understood. I've never understood that concept because
I don't know.
All like any other sport I can think of, they play on a standard. Like, sure, it might be in different locations, and there might be a dome, and there might not be a dome.
The structure of the field or whatever doesn't change,
but the parameters of the field, like you don't go to the big house, and the field is an extra 10 feet wide, and whatever the end zone's got an extra 3 feet at the back.
It's like a rhombus shape.
Exactly. It's not how it happens. Every field is the standard length and the standard width. And so I don't really understand why that anybody thought that, it seems like a really easy thing to put a standard on.
I have no idea where that came from.
What the heck happened there?
But I imagine part of it came from just like space and wherever they were building their stadium.
Yeah. Literally. Yeah.
Because if you've only got 3 million square feet. I don't know how big these things are, but if you've got to squeeze your ballpark in between this corner, and this corner, and there's 3 of them, whereas this ballpark has a whole square. I don't know. That's where I think it came from, though. Originally was
literally built in a neighborhood.
Correct.
People put seats on their roofs because it's in a neighborhood. Like you can't.
But like at the same time, like why didn't everybody make their field the size of Coors Field then? Like why didn't everybody make their field, or like Great American? Why didn't everybody make their field the size of Great American? And then it would have definitely fit in every single one of those spots.
To baseball's credit, there is a standard 90 feet, 90 feet, 90 feet, 90 feet.
Sure.
But that's the charm of baseball, right, Dennis? Feet? That's the charm of baseball. All the different goofy stadium dimensions.
It is. I still wish they'd bring back the hill in Minute Maid.
Correct.
Unbelievable they got rid of that. Safety concerns.
Garbage. Absolute crock. I mean, I gotta pull it up for. So gotta pull it up for the people.
The hill. I've never heard of the hill.
Oh no, Bob! You've never seen the hill?
No. Oh no! Oh my gosh! This was incredible that this was allowed inside a baseball stadium.
Dennis, now here's the thing. But while there's
a giant freaking pole right in the middle of it. I mean, look at this.
Screen sharing privileges.
Dennis, here's the thing about the new offensive era of baseball. Once somebody surpasses Pete Rose in hits now, because there's just so much easier to get hit now,
you're gonna have nothing. Like there was in Pete's day.
You're gonna have nothing, Dennis. You're just gonna have nothing to hang your hat on anymore.
I mean, Bob, there's a freaking pole in the outfield.
Yes, the pole.
Yeah, here's a good look at it. Here's a good look.
In the field of play.
Here's a good look. 1 second.
Good look.
What's it? So is this in the field of play?
Dead center field. We're about to look at dead center field. This is. I don't know if it was Minute Maid at the time, but the Astros ballpark. I think it was Minute Maid.
I need to see this.
Oh, you guys can't see it. The recording can see it, but I'm not actually sharing my screen. How silly. Sorry, everyone who's watching. I'm in control of the
recording duties.
Recording for once.
We got Derek on. We got Derek doing everything tonight.
And now everyone can see my desktop, so this is pretty silly. How?
Black, love it.
I'm discombobulated. 1 second. Here we go. Here we go.
MLB minute.
Wait a minute, that's actually in the field of play.
It is actually in the field of play. There is a pole here in the field of play. This is the warning track, and then there's another tiny warning track right around the outside, and just this random patch of grass where this hill is. You can see it here as well.
Top left, because that's like looking in from like right field, and it like is actually it goes up.
How is that allowed? Are you kidding me? How is that? Okay, I understand different dimensions, but how is that? Like, that's definitely impacting. That definitely impacts.
I remember watching it. I can't remember like specific.
Now we can't have level
people
ground.
Like, run up the hill and then they like lose their balance and like completely misjudge the ball.
So now we can't even. So now you can't even have level ground.
Look at this stupid article name. Houston Astros do away with ridiculous hill. Screw that guy.
Boo, Stephen Dunn. Boo, Stephen Dunn.
Oh, here it is being demolished. The poor hill.
Oh my God. There it is. Oh, there.
The humanity. The humanity.
I mean, that is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. But like at the same time, what the heck were they thinking?
I mean, they were thinking that it was
get used to it.
It was an awesome idea. I mean, keep in mind, in the old days of football, they used to have the goalpost in the middle of the end zone.
Yeah, that was dumb too. I don't know what they were thinking there.
That was
the middle of the end zone.
I mean, yeah, wasn't it that the goalpost was right on the end line?
Yes.
Good times. Good times.
Dummies.
Silly stuff.
Somebody probably got concussed on that pole.
Probably. I mean,
actually.
It was just like an extra defender when you're playing backyard football and you got the trees all over the place.
I got it.
That's exactly right.
Right in the jaw.
Correct. I don't know where you guys want to go next. I'm sure you've already discussed the Super Bowl in length. So that's pretty much a wash. There's not a whole ton of NFL news going on right now. Some head coaches have been hired. Actually, that is one thing I'll ask. Shane Steichen, the new Cardinals head coach, former Eagles defensive coordinator, is an absolute whack job. Did you guys see his interviews all the content that came out when he met his players for the first time?
So I didn't personally. I heard about this, but I didn't look into it much more than that. Other than I heard that he's kind of a wacko.
Yeah, I don't know if this will get us DMCA'd or not, because it's NFL content. But let me find it. Let me find it on Twitter quick.
What was he for the Eagles? Like, what was defensive something? Was he the coordinator?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Just a lot of head coaching moves going on right now, honestly.
Oh, no, it's not. Shane Steichen was the offensive coordinator who went to the Eagles. Who was the defensive coordinator that went to the Cardinals?
Wait a minute. Was Shane was the offensive coordinator that just came to the Eagles or left the Eagles?
Left the Eagles.
So he went to the Colts, right?
Yes. Jonathan Gannon. That's the Cardinals.
That's it.
Will watching a YouTube video from the Arizona Cardinals get me DMCA'd?
Probably not.
All right. Let me pull it up.
They definitely asked Bobby, not me.
Pull this up. Share screen. Looks good. All right. Watch
That's
this.
the guy.
Watch this.
Let's go, man. Let's go. Can't wait, man. Can't wait. I was talking about you, bro. Everything I said. Let's go.
Let's go.
Man. They said, why you want to take this job? Well, not many.
I said, why do you want to take this job? Not many jobs have a franchise quarterback.
Huge football character guy. So the high football character guys have to lead the other guys.
Right.
Like, it's going to come from me. It's got to come from you.
That's how the message get passed along.
That's right.
That's how it get
That's
passed
right.
along.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Daily actions, man. That's what it's about.
That's it.
You know. What's up, Zach? How you doing, man? Long time no see, huh?
Good to see you, man. Good?
What do you think, man?
I'm excited for you.
I know.
It's gonna be great.
I know. It's gonna be good. What's up? Hey! What's up, man? How you doing? Good.
The facial expressions are great.
Shoo, 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 shoo.
Are we just gonna have a
Yeah, this part
slew
right here.
of-
This part right here. Pay
Okay,
attention to
alright.
this part. Pay attention to this part. Can you guys hear it all right? I have no idea.
Oh, I can't hear anything.
I can't hear anything either, but I'm watching the subtitles.
Oh, you guys can't even hear it? How do I make it
No.
so you guys can hear it?
I have no clue.
We're just a train wreck over here.
Why can't you guys hear it?
Don't pay any attention to the link to a potentially legal or not streaming site on their favorites.
We don't need to point those things out.
Links.
Can-
Pay no
What's up,
attention.
man? How you doing?
Can you guys hear it now?
Good.
Oh my gosh.
Good.
Yeah.
Shoo, 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 shoo. Shots. Explosives. You can run. Hey, Calvin, how you doing, man? Good to meet you. Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. Good player. Good player. I know it. Yeah. How you doing, bro? Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
All right, that's about all I wanted to show. Could you guys hear the pew pew pew
Yeah.
shots
Pew
explosives
pew
part?
shots. Yeah.
I mean, just come on.
What's up? Hey, what's up?
This
man?
is
How you doing?
this guy's a wannabe Mike
Good.
McDaniel, man.
Good. Shoo, 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 shoo. Shots. Explosives. You can run. Hey, Calvin, how you doing, man?
Come on, is that not one of the goofiest things? One of the goofiest things you guys have ever seen a coach say?
That's a little goofy. I love it. I'm a big fan.
I can't
You gotta be
believe
goofy.
I can't believe that you guys didn't hear the video for the first 45 seconds. Not that you missed much, but you should have told me that you had no audio, you goobers.
Yeah, we're just waiting it out over here, right, Bobby?
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, there's not really much to talk about. The Rams are selling shop, cut Bobby Wagner, shopping Jalen Ramsey. The combine started this week. I haven't kept up with it at all, but I don't know.
I haven't either. I usually feel like I keep up with it a little bit, but I have not. It's been all college basketball and spring training and throwing a little golf for me.
Yeah, Dennis, how is the golf world doing?
You know, it's been good. We had an off week last week with the Honda Classic because it's not one of the designated events or elevated events on the schedule. So it was like the top guy in the field was one of Bobby's favorites, Sunjay M. And then you had like Shane Lowry, and then it was a bunch of like rookies, and it ended up getting won by Chris Kirk, won the Honda Classic. But this
Dennis?
week is fire again. We got the Arnold Palmer Invitational this week, and the field is stacked. I mean, everybody is there, so it should be a good week.
Dennis, so you and I made some money on the return of Tiger Woods.
Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago at Riviera. Yeah, the Genesis. The Genesis 2 weeks ago.
Did you bet on him to make the cut or something?
No, it was was it 3 birdies or more in the first round?
Yeah.
And he had 2 with 3 holes to play.
Oh, wait, 4 more, Dennis. 4 more.
4 more. Yeah, that's right. We needed 4 more, and he had 2 going on to 16, and then he birdied out to have 5.
Wow.
Yep. Tiger came in clutch. I'm sure we're going to see him again. People debating if we're going to see him at like the Players or something. I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see him to the Masters because he's not going to risk his, injury bugging him more than it does just to play in a non-major event.
Yeah, he said he wanted to play the rest of the majors this year, I think, right? Wasn't that his goal, was to play every major and then anything else would be a bonus, but definitely the majors?
That's exactly right. And I mean, there's a couple that he could play. Like I said, the Players is coming up here in like a week or two, and that's a big event that a lot of people play in, and he has some history at, so I'm sure he'd like to play in that, but I don't think he's going to jeopardize missing the Masters. My guess is we're going to see him at Augusta because that's in like 4 or 5 weeks, 5 weeks, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, Tim Coffey.
A tradition like no other.
There was some big news out of the golf world, though.
Tim Coffey is going to Tim Coffey's going to have the Masters Challenge coming up here pretty soon. And the Masters article. Shout out Tim Coffey, CMU legend.
Man, definitely shout out Tim Coffey, CMU legend. I've dropped the ball in this whole golf pick'em league that I was going to do. We might just be down to like the majors because I was going to do that like months ago. We'll still have to do something this summer. It'll be fun. There was big news out of the golf world though. Either yesterday, I think, the PGA announced the new structure for the elevated events next year, which there's been a lot of discussion about it. I think it's interesting. Basically, they're going to, I think it's 8 events that are elevated, and it's essentially going to be 60 to 70 guys based on the top players in the world, and there's other ways to qualify for that, but it's the best players in the world, and there's no cut. So instead of having essentially a 120 player field that gets cut down to 60 or 65 after 2 days, they're just going to start with a smaller field of only the best players, and there's not going to be a cut. And there's a lot of discussion on like what that means for it makes it tougher for some of the, quote unquote, no name golfers to play in the bigger events and compete with the best and outshine John Rahm or Scotty Scheffler or something like that. But from a fan viewership experience, they're trying to make another step in keeping the best against the best on a week in and week out basis. And there's increased prize pool in those events, so it incentivizes the players to play in them, and it makes a lot of sense what they're trying to do. Some people don't like it, understandably, but you're never going to be able to please everyone. I think it's going to be interesting. That's all I got, though. That's my rant on golf. Stay tuned for the Masters. It's going to be a lot of fun. And fun, but also probably controversial because we will get the LIV guys back in the mix because they are not banned from playing at Augusta or any of the majors. I don't think the U.S. Open or the Open have decided to not include players based on their involvement in the LIV Golf League. So correct. We're going to get Dustin Johnson back. We'll get Cam Smith back playing in the Masters. Sergio, I'm sure it'll be
Phil.
Phil. Oh my gosh. I just can't wait for the the Brooks Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau, Rory McIlroy threesome going out. I mean, that's just going to be drama city. Is it going to be content, Dennis? Is it going to be content? High level of content. Speaking of which, have you guys seen any of Full Swing?
I do not have Netflix, so I have not.
That's tough. Definitely, if you ever get the chance, check it out. I've watched 4 of the 8 episodes so far. Really interesting stuff. Behind the scenes.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. Saw that the Brooks Koepka episode was really good. Sort of gave some insight into why he chose to go to LIV. Dennis, your thoughts on Brooks Koepka?
So my thoughts on Brooks Koepka in general, watching the episode made me dislike him more than I already did because he's just a total jackwagon. But
come on, Dennis.
But his decision to go to LIV based on watching the episode makes a lot of sense because he essentially came to the realization that he should have come to a long time ago, which is that he's washed. And that he can't compete with actual good golfers anymore. And he got guaranteed money because he had 2 years as one of the best golfers in the entire world, which he had. I'm not taking that away from him. He was very good, but washed now, and no longer can compete with the young guns that would wipe the floor with him on a round-to-round basis. So yeah, I mean, It made perfect sense for him to do what he did. I don't blame him.
If Brooks Koepka wins the Masters and plays in the Masters, you better be
I'm gonna
out
be
here
distraught.
eating a live crow
Hey,
on pod.
that's high stakes, but I'll do something. I'm willing to put a lot on Brooks Koepka not winning the Masters.
Well, I think that
I don't know
might
if I'm
be a
making a
given.
live crow, but
That might be a given.
exactly.
I think he's kind of reached
That's what Bobby said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bobby said if he wins the Masters, that's not happening. No chance.
Bob.
He will not be in the article, Bobby. I'll tell you that. He will not be in the article.
Dennis, is there an article coming? Is there a Masters preview article coming to the Garbage Time Takes website? Preview.
That's right. Check it out. GTT, something like that. GarbageTimeTakes.com. Everywhere. Yep, it's coming.
Have we lost Bob? Have we lost him?
Oh no, he's froze. That's why he didn't respond to any of that.
We may have lost Bob.
Oh no, the internet.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, is he back?
I'm back.
He's back.
He's back.
This is exactly why I had Derek take over the recording duties during today, but have some intermittent internet problems at my apartment. But what I was going to say, Dennis, as you were about to stomp on my grave, was that what you really should be doing is put something on the line of any of the live golfers come in and win, because you've said that they're all wash and they all stink. So, I mean, I think that Dennis should have to buy a live golf shirt if any of the live golfers win any of the majors.
All right, I'll do it. I'm willing to do that. Because
and he's got to wear it live on pod, and to his first match of the year with Big Boy, he's got to wear it.
Okay, the stakes raised a little bit, but I'm still willing to do it. So I think there are a couple that could win it, actually. Like Dustin Johnson could win it.
Cam Smith.
Sergio has a lot of experience. Cam Smith certainly very, very good. And one of the guys I liked throughout the whole year last year. So there's potential.
What happened?
I'm not going to deny that. Well, here's the thing, and I'll still do it. But for the record, I said all of the guys that were going there. I believe that comment was made before Cam Smith left and maybe before a couple others left. So, I mean, there's some guys that ended up going that are not washed, but for the most part, I still stand by for the most part, with few exceptions. They're old and washed. So I'll do it. I think that's fair.
Dennis, I gotta ask you one last question. It's not about live golf. Are we going to see Dennis in any semi-pro golf tournaments this year? Any amateur golf tournaments in the Ohio/Philly area this year? Because I know we've been hearing,
I'm not making any guarantees
for a couple years that
this
was going to happen. A couple years
that
it's
still
the handicap was going to be gotten and it was going to be secured.
It's still a goal, and we have figured out the handicap process, so that will be gotten for sure. I can guarantee you that. I don't know if it will then be used correctly in terms of entering any actual tournaments. We'll see how the actual play goes on the course when I get out there, but it's a possibility. I'm still excited. I'm excited to get back out there.
And one final thing, Dennis. Will you be taking down Big Boy in the annual Weaver Classic?
Well, I mean, as long as you're there to play to play some scramble golf against Big Boy, then it's a guarantee. I mean, absolutely. Taking him down. Mano y mano, he's gotten pretty decent. Because, he can't let me be better at him at anything. And golf was the one thing that I could always beat him at. And, not so much a dominant performance anymore, fortunately.
Dennis, isn't that mentality supposed to be the other way around, where the oldest brother isn't supposed to let the younger brother be better at anything?
Yeah, it is. But unfortunately, I'm not gifted enough to do that.
Bob,
well, actually, I mean,
Bob, are you gifted enough? Do you dominate the younger siblings?
Well, it depends what it's in.
Fair.
True. That's true. I was just about to say, tennis. Academically, I guess you could say that.
1v1 solos tennis. Solos tennis, Bob. Who's the top of the leaderboard?
Probably my youngest brother, because he's been playing in high school most recently.
Okay, fair.
But my middle brother, I think I could take.
Okay. Basketball. You easily height advantage.
Well, my middle brother's got
As long
the
as he
same
doesn't have to
height as
shoot free
me,
throws, Derek.
but
Jack's as tall as you now? That's nuts.
yeah, he's my height. Sam is not going to be anywhere close to as tall as me, so we might still have him there.
Okay. FIFA.
Oh, that's a wrap.
Yeah. FIFA,
You can
Dota,
cut on
anything
lockdown.
video game related, is that a wrap?
I mean, it could basically probably a wrap.
Probably a wrap. Dennis, what do you have over Wyatt in? Surely you have something.
Basement baseball, Dennis.
No, he's got me in basement baseball.
Wow.
You've got him in fantasy baseball.
I
Oh,
do have him in fantasy baseball. We're pretty even in. We played a lot of ping pong against each other, but we like only played against each other, and so we just iron sharpens iron, but we never really got better than one another. It's like we're only good enough. So that's not really. I mean,
chess. I think you got him in that.
I got him
Surely
in
you
chess
have him in
for the
chess.
most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got him in chess for the most part, and I was gonna say like academically, I've got a leg up, but sports wise, he's got a lot of advantages. I still like to think I got the leg up in golf, but it's close.
Surely you're a better quarterback.
Dennis,
Oh, yeah.
I gotta ask this.
Oh yeah.
40-meter dash, you a big boy. Who's taking this? Because I'm not sure, because I'm really not sure, because I think if Big Boy got up ahead of steam, it could be trouble.
So here's
But
the thing.
at the
This
same
might need
time,
to
I
get
don't
put
know.
into the test. This might need to be put into the test. I think my long legs give me just enough of an advantage to get the job done. That's what I'm gonna count on. But you're right. If he gets up to a full head of steam, and he could probably get me in like a sprint because he's got like quickness. He's got a little bit of quickness. If we did a little longer distance endurance running, I think I got him there.
Okay,
But,
here's a
The Weaver Olympics might need to be had and recorded.
that
in
would
some
be
way,
live
shape, or
on
form.
YouTube
That
on the
would
Garbage
be-
Time Takes YouTube channel.
that would be some content. Here's an idea for you, Dennis. You and Big Boy do home to first sprints and see who's faster, and then who's faster home to home, rounding the bases.
He's probably got me home to first. It's close, but he's done that a lot more than me. He's got a lot of experience going home to first.
Okay.
Home to home, I think I might leg him out though.
Might have to see it in action, Bob.
Good idea. That's a good idea. That's smart. We'll do it down at Great American.
That would be. I mean, do the kids run the bases on Sundays, Dennis? You think you could pass?
That's right. The kids plus the Weaver boys.
the kids plus two grown men.
With Bobby in the
just run
lower
them down.
bowl.
Bob standing on the pitcher's mound, just going like this, tracking it all the way.
With the GoPro, just absolutely legendary stuff. Oh my gosh, that'd be incredible. These like 6-year-olds are stumbling. Oh man,
Who's got the better
That's gold.
3-point shot, Dennis?
oh man, he probably does actually. I don't know if you knew this, Derek, but he came in.
does.
He was visiting me in Philly last weekend.
I saw your
Um,
Snapchat story.
Okay. Yeah. So he was visiting me last weekend in Philly. We played a few games 1-on-1, and he got me 3 out of 3. So it's pretty bad. So 1-on-1, he's got the advantage.
Oh no.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it.
Dennis, where's the
It was
height?
rough.
Where's the height?
I mean, you've seen me play basketball. You know where the height is. I'd freaking take it away with my unathleticism.
Oh no.
I gotta say, I've seen some driveway style ball from Dennison and Wyatt, and
Is
and
it ugly?
Is
it ugly?
it can get out of hand. It can get out of hand rather quickly.
Oh no.
And I will say this for Dennis's sake, Wyatt can get just unbelievably hot.
Yeah.
I mean, just scorching hot. But the thing is if you can take him, if you can extend the game, long enough
That's
to where his
true.
legs
That's
aren't
true.
fresh, you've got him. But on fresh
That's right.
legs,
Wyatt Weaver is
Weaver.
dangerous.
it's very dangerous.
I mean,
Very
we're hearing
dangerous.
from we're hearing from unbiased Bob right now. I mean, this
We
is
are.
you can't take this with any grains of salt. This is the hard and fast truth right here. Wow.
Have hands ever been thrown, Dennis? Have hands ever been thrown?
Have they ever been thrown? I can't count the number of times that they've been thrown. They were probably thrown when Bobby watched just the one time. Man,
Bob,
I
were
mean,
hands
it's
thrown?
ugly.
Were hands thrown?
I mean, there was definitely some smack. There was definitely some jawing. There's definitely a little bit of jawing going on, you know. And then,
when were they not thrown? That's a better question.
I mean, and then Big Boy said we need to go find a 12-pack immediately.
He's got me in that too, Bobby.
Oh no, Dennis, don't tell me Big Boy holds his liquor better than you do.
Probably way better. Way better.
Way better.
Dennis, have you built up your alcohol tolerance to the point where you're not getting buzzed off of one claw?
One drink, Dennis.
I was never getting buzzed off of one claw.
You're right, half a claw.
One twisted tea.
Keep it basically the same.
Twisted. It's got a higher alcohol content, doesn't it? Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, we've built up the tolerance. We're getting better.
Oh, that's good.
But we're not down in 12 packs like Big Boy.
Oh no. I would talk about, just to talk about some actual sports, since we are a sports podcast.
What are you talking about?
We were talking about sports.
We were talking about sports. We were talking about sports.
This is great stuff.
I would talk about the NHL trade deadline, but I doubt either of you have kept up with it enough.
Derek, Tyler Bertuzzi, rip.
Thank you, Steve Yzerman. Trust the Yzer plan. Goodbye, Tyler Bertuzzi, and his unwillingness to get vaxxed, which cost him numerous games this season. Goodbye, Tyler Bertuzzi, injury prone. Goodbye, Tyler Bertuzzi, turning the puck over inside of his own blue line and costing us a game in overtime. Goodbye, Tyler Bertuzzi. You are not a top line forward. And I think that's about all I got. We got a first rounder for a guy who's a bona fide second line forward. And I'll take that every day of the week and twice on Sundays. He was going.
We gotta eat some of that salary though, Derek. We gotta eat some of that salary.
Which is fine. We got salary to burn. We got 35 mil in cap space next year. We have salary to burn. He was gonna he was going to demand a larger contract than I think he's worth. And so the fact that we were able to get not only a first round pick, but also a fourth or a fifth, for a guy who would have just walked in free agency, that's huge. That's huge. We also got rid of Filip Hronek. See ya, you bum. Thank you. Did
I see we extended somebody there?
We extended
an extension.
We extended Dylan Larkin. What's the reverse salute? Because bring me more Dylan Larkin. Extended him for 8 years, just under $9 million a year, which was sort of like my mark for where I wanted him to be below was under 9 mil. You sign your captain for the next 8 years. He is probably top 15 center in the league. So you've got an actual first line center, not a guy who thinks he's a first line forward. And now you just got to keep building, develop, and hopefully 2 years from now, the Wings will be legitimate threats. Because this year, East is absolutely stacked. The Bruins very well could break the all-time regular season points record. They have been unbelievable this year. Tampa Bay still have the core of their Stanley Cup appearances from the past 4 or 5 years. The Devils are hot. The Senators keep making moves, and all of their new additions are their team chemistry is finally starting to come together. The Carolina Hurricanes are a very good team. New York Islanders, New York Rangers bringing in Patty Kane. The East is absolutely stacked, and the Red Wings were sort of flirting with like a borderline playoff status team, but they had no legitimate aspirations at maybe winning more than 2 games in a series. So I think them deciding to sell off some guys where you have young guys who can probably be just as good in the next couple years to replace them, I thought it was brilliant. Retooling, not rebuilding.
Correct. Correct. I just thought I'd throw that out there because I did see some news on that today,
Yeah.
and wanted to get your take on that.
Yeah. I was a big fan of both trading Tyler Bertuzzi and Philip Peronic. Because it's one of those things where, yes, you have a proven NHL player and you're banking on the fact that the guy you're getting in return will be better, but at the same time, neither of them would be in their prime during our championship window, and I think that's the most important part.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Outside of that, we don't need to talk too much more hockey because I could just spout on for days about all of the different stuff going on in the NHL. NBA, Bob, did you watch the All-Star game?
I did not tune into the All-Star game, I'm going to be honest.
Dennis, did you watch the All-Star game?
No, I
Watch
think
the
on
Genesis?
the podcast we ran before that. Yeah, I did watch the Genesis. I think the pod we ran before that, I said that the winner of that game was me because I didn't have to spend 3 hours of my life watching it, and I did not watch it. I did follow up on that guarantee.
Yeah. Did either of you watch any of the dunk contest, 3-point contest, any of that stuff?
I watched a lot of the dunk contests.
Yeah, was Mac McClung as hype as Twitter made him out to be?
I did. I liked his dunks.
Yeah.
I think he was definitely the most exciting character out of the bunch. So
he first attempted all of his dunks, didn't he?
That I remember, yeah.
Yeah.
That I remember.
Yeah. Dunk contest. It's changed a lot since when we were younger, when you had Blake Griffin jumping over cars and Aaron Gordon doing the under the legs windmill dunk. And now we've got, I don't know, just a bunch of scrubs doing a bunch of basic dunks. Remember, Bob, do you remember when Nate Robinson was in the dunk contest?
Yes, I do.
or when Dwight Howard
Was a Superman?
Yep, Dwight Howard the Superman. Did he also do like did he also blow out the candle on the rim? Was that Dwight Howard that did that, or was that Aaron Gordon?
There was definitely another guy that did that too.
Because I'm pretty sure Dwight put like a birthday cake sticker or something on the backboard.
Oh, okay.
But I can't remember.
Somebody did it with an actual cupcake.
Yeah,
though.
I can't remember who blew out. Someone they put out a cupcake on the back of the rim and blew it out on their way up for the dunk. I don't remember who that was though.
Yeah, I'm blanking on that as well, but that was definitely a nice dunk for sure. But yeah, the Matt McClung was really good to watch. All-Star game was kind of ended up being a flop, just because LeBron got hurt pretty quick into the game, which was the team captain of one of the teams, so that kind of stinks. And then he got hurt in the actual season, so now he's out for 2 weeks with a boot on. Thank you very much for nothing. And now the Lakers are in shambles, and I'm not going to get to see them try to make the play-in probably because they're going to drop like a stone in water, which is disappointing.
You know, Bob, I'm so glad you brought this up because this was the one thing I wanted to talk about the NBA. What did Bron say? It was the 32 most important games of his career coming up, and now he's going to have, the most important 13 games of his career after it's going to be 3 weeks before he even gets re-evaluated. Is Bron finally breaking down, Bob? Is the body given out? And also, it was Gerald Green who did the cupcake dunk. Gerald Green. But Bob, the Lakers are toast. Are they toast? I think they're toast.
They're toast. Unfortunately, they were anything but toast with LeBron and the new lineup that they had there. They looked very promising in a few games, which is why it's so frustrating because they looked like they were actually playing well. They had just beaten the Mavs too,
Unbelievable comeback.
who are a pretty decent team. Made
historic comeback.
Historic comeback in that game to get the job done, and it had kind of been on a small roll before that, and it's just going to be really, really unfortunate because LeBron is a big piece of that team, but of course, in his absence, they will start folding like a steel chair because that's what every team that has LeBron that doesn't have LeBron currently in the lineup always does and folds like a steel chair.
Because Anthony Davis is washed, according to Shaquille O'Neal.
Well, and he just, I mean, AD could stay for AD can stand for a lot of things. I mean, it could stand for all day Davis, or it could stand for, always dumpster fire Davis. So, I mean, you never know. But I'm really disappointed about that. But it is what it is. You can't really account for injuries, so I guess I'll just have to live with it.
Only one game out of the second play-in spot.
The gap isn't that wide, though. The gap isn't that wide.
No, because the bottom of the West is so... You've got the Mavs at 33 and 31, the Clippers at 33 and 31, the Timberwolves at 32 and 32, the Jazz at 31 and 32, and the Pelicans at 31 and 32. That's the 6 through 10.
Jam.
That's the 6 through 10, and the Lakers are right there at 30 and 33. I, for one, would love to see LeBron miss the playoffs. Because I remember when LeBron said missing the playoffs isn't in his DNA, and then he missed the playoffs, prompted immediately. So surely it's not in his DNA to miss the playoffs in 2 years in a row, Bob. Surely.
Surely. It wasn't going to be in his DNA until the boot had to be applied.
Not the boot.
Zoinks.
Not the boot. Dennis.
Although I will say, Derek, one last thing. I am glad to see that Russell Westbrook being added to the Clippers has promptly and immediately dropped them like a stone in water, just like everybody thought it would. I mean, you can't blame Russ for everything, but like at the same time,
you could blame him for a lot of things.
He's there now, and they're losing.
That's
so right. Coincidence? I don't know.
Bob, one more thing, Bob. Before Dennis, I don't know if you have any strong feelings about LeBron James, but Bob, what about Patrick Beverley saying he wanted to be traded and requested it?
That's such malarkey. Pat Bev, come on, get out of here.
He sends out the getting the gang back together tweet with D'Angelo Russell, gets traded, and then he says he requested the trade. Okay, buddy. Okay.
That's a face saving if I've ever seen it.
Correct. Dennis, your thoughts on LeBron James and the Lakers, if you have it.
I shared those on that the instance 3 weeks ago now or whatever. But outside of that, I don't have anything new to add in the current environment. It is unfortunate that he's going to be out for a while because, as somebody who does tend to fall in the middle of that discussion, just don't want to see people get hurt, and it just kind of sucks. So I do feel for you on that one, Bobby. I do feel for you. That sucks.
Fair enough. Again, we're kind of in this sort of like we're waiting for conference championship weekend to start in college basketball, which will lead into March Madness. We just got NBA back from the All-Star break. And outside of that, there's not really that much going on. So I don't know if you guys had any other topics you wanted to bring up. But I had one more before we can get into right bench ballers and winners and losers. I brought this up to you guys before the show started. We were talking about how Bob had asked me how the Cubs, as such a historic, storied franchise, was so mid in the recent years. And I had responded by saying, well, you don't get the name lovable losers for nothing. So we can't be that storied. Which made me wonder who actually does have the regular season win percentage and sort of title, and where our favorite teams come into play. So who would like to take a guess at who the number one winningest franchise of all time is.
Mhm.
Don't overthink it.
New York Yankees.
I was literally going to say it's got to be the Yankees because even though they've played so many games, they've just been far and away the most successful. And to get to that many World Series and win that many World Series, you had to have good regular seasons. They have to just win way more games than they lose by a long
Correct.
shot.
They do not have the most wins of all time because there are actually a few more teams
Really?
that have played more games than them. But they do have the best winning percentage of all time, 570 with 10,602 wins and 8,000 losses and 88 ties. Who? I mean, we can do the top 5 if you want, and then we can guess where our favorite teams are. And
No, we're not in the
spoiler,
top 5.
we're not in the top 5. None of our 3 franchises are in the top 5.
Shocker.
So who thought the Reds were going to squeak in there?
Not quite. Number 2, who do you think?
Oh man. You got any guesses, Bobby?
I was gonna say, I was thinking the Dodgers maybe
I
that's
was
too.
gonna say maybe the Dodgers.
Close. They're number 3. They're number 3.
Okay. All right.
I feel like you got to go with some obvious ones for the top, right? You just got to like throw in some obvious guesses.
Yeah.
I mean, Boston.
I was thinking Boston.
Close.
I was thinking Boston.
Close. I won't spoil their ranking, but close.
Boston. I mean, who else you got there that's really historic? I mean, it's with St.
Bobby,
Louis.
I'm trying to think because I was going to say St. Louis because we did. What was it, a couple weeks ago? We went through and looked at some of the World Series titles, and
yeah, they've got a lot of really good players.
Yeah.
The Cardinals are certainly up there, but not number 2. You're so you guys are on it. There's one more. There's one more like classic historic franchise that you haven't nailed yet.
Dennis with the Giants. Are the Giants that historic?
Yeah.
The Giants would be
Giants.
historic, and they
Good.
are number 2. 11,366 wins for the Giants, and then the Dodgers are 3. Who do you guys got for 4 and 5?
I think it could be Boston or St. Louis again, Bobby.
That's one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Which order is it? 5. Which order is it?
I'll say because I don't like the Cardinals, I'll say Boston's 4, but I could be wrong.
Bob, your guess.
I'm going Cardinals.
Bob's correct. It is the St. Louis Cardinals in 4th and the Red Sox in 5th.
My bias got me there.
Here's the fun part. Dennis, where are the Cincinnati Reds?
I mean, here's the thing. We talked about it before the show started. Oldest franchise in baseball, baby. Played the most games. Also makes it hard to get to have the highest winning percentage. But the thing is, there's been a lot of success, but there's also been a lot of failure. I'm gonna go with I don't know. My heart's telling me 10.
Close.
Okay. Is it 11, 12?
Colder.
Oh, really? Okay, so 8.
It is exactly 7? 8. It is exactly 8.
Okay.
The Cincinnati Reds,
all right.
8th most winningest franchise of all time, 21,489 games played, which is the second most in all of MLB history. And their winning percentage is 504. 10,769 to 10,581 with 139 ties.
Well, I wonder, here's the thing. I wonder how many percentage points we can drop it this year. Probably half a percentage point.
0.01.
0.01, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds about right. Yeah,
no,
that's
0.001. You're 504. The Chicago White Sox are 9th at 503.
No. I meant how many
this season when we go 60 and 100.
Oh, right.
What's going to decrease to, but
Yeah,
based on the magnitude of games, it can't decrease by much because it's a
that's true.
percentage.
That's true.
So I don't know how much it's going to drop, but it will drop from 504.
Bob, where do you think the Detroit Tigers sit?
Well, how many teams are there?
There are 30 teams.
30.
Keep in mind, the Tigers have been around a long time.
They have been around a long time. They did have some very good players in the early days of the Tigers, and there was some success. There were some successful teams throughout the history of the Tigers, but I don't think they're going to be anywhere near as high as Dennis. I'm going to go 17th.
Cold.
6th.
Warmer.
10th.
They are 10th all time.
Oh, that is higher than I thought. That's good.
Wow.
A 503 winning percentage, only .001 behind the Reds. 9,499 wins, 9,396 losses, and 93 ties.
That's going to
so we're going to do the math this year and see if the Tigers can beat the Reds and overtake them in overall winning percentage.
Yeah. And then I'll throw this one up to both of you. Where do the Chicago Cubs rank all time in winning percentage?
Man,
since Dennis,
Bobby, it's got to be kind of low. I mean, I know that the storied franchise and all that, they've been around a really long time, which is something to be said for that, but they had a long time where they were very bad as the Reds and Tigers are now. I'm going like 22nd.
Okay, Bob, you want to wager a guess?
28th.
All right, Dennis is closer, but I won't say much more than that.
Okay, 6th, Dennis.
They are 6th. They're 6th all time in winning percentage.
No way.
And I knew he was sandbagging. I knew he was sandbagging. The Cubs, I said that from the jump. Rewind the tape. And then Dennis is out here talking about
the numbers.
Oh,
Derek doctored the numbers.
Bobby, don't fall for it. They were bad for a really long time. No, they weren't.
Screw you, Dennis. Screw you. Screw the Reds.
No.
Screw the Reds. 513 winning percentage. 11,145
lovable
wins.
Losers.
10,601
Okay, no,
losses.
they were the lovable losers. I was just clouded by my childhood when they were really bad for like 15 years in a row.
Storied.
I mean,
storied.
Dennis, you're looking at the
until the 2017 season. Or 2016 season, sorry.
3-time World Series champions, 17-time National League pennant winners, Chicago Cubs. We're just terrible at actually closing the deal. The most recent run,
the last time was like 1950.
45, yes.
45. Okay, thank you.
Yes, we were historically good, but just not good enough to actually close the deal. Three World Series in 17 attempts. That's rough. That's rough.
My mistake for my mistake for only considering the last half century in my analysis.
Correct. Screw you.
That was my mistake.
Dennis, get this.
If I would have accounted for before that, no, I'd been better off.
Get this, Dennis. The Cincinnati Reds have more NL West titles than NL Central titles.
Crazy when we were in the NL West. That was wild.
You know what that stat reminds me of? The Buccaneers winning the NFC North more recently than the Lions.
The Lions, yes.
Derek, don't tell it, Derek.
Bobby's in distress. Oh no.
Why, Derek?
Bob, the Tigers won the AL East 3 times and the AL Central 4 times.
Well, they haven't won it in a while.
And the Cubs
relate to that.
The Cubs have won the NL Central 6 times and the NL East twice. Very interesting. the house that Mordecai Three Finger Brown built, the Chicago Cubs.
Mordecai Three Finger Brown, baby.
Legend.
Derek,
Absolute legend.
Dennis, how could you not account for Mordecai?
How could you not what?
How could you not account
yeah.
for him? Your analysis.
My mistake. My mistake.
I mean, we had.
I'll own that. I gotta own that.
We had Mordecai Three Finger Brown. We had Deacon White, William Hubert, Dennis, Joe Tinker, legend. I mean, come on.
Get your knowledge up, Dennis.
George.
Yeah, I guess so.
George High Pockets Kelly. I mean, legend. Dizzy Dean. Can't forget about Dizzy Dean.
Dizzy Dean. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Dennis never knew who Dizzy Dean was.
No.
I mean, Hall of Famer
he was dizzy.
Gabby Hartnett. Well, he was probably always
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that's right. Hall of Famer. Oh, that's a quick game to play before we get into right bench ballers and winners and losers. Who has the most Hall of Famers between the Cubs, Reds, and Tigers?
That's a no-brainer.
I mean,
Tigers got like freaking 3. No, we actually have more than that.
I say it's between the Reds and Cubs, but he's asking this. It's probably the Cubs.
I don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
Wait a minute. Before you look, Derek. Before you look, I should look so you two can guess.
Well, I'm gonna say the Cubs have the most just because hometown bias. So that's what I'm going with.
Actually, I mean, I'm going to be way off with this because now I got a feeling I'm just going to be way off. But I think it'll be close. I think it'll be within a couple of Hall of Famers. But I'm going to go Cubs.
All right, here we go.
Maybe
number one team of Hall of Famers, obviously. Don't get it messed up. The Pinstripes, baby. The New York Yankees.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Moving on. One team of the 3 that we root for is it tied for 11th with 10 Hall of Famers. Which team is that?
10?
It's either the Cubs, the Tigers, or the Reds.
That actually, I mean, I'm not going to sway from my original guess because it was what I was thinking, but that could be the Reds because I was thinking it was going to be like 19-17 or something like that for the Cubs. So if they don't have more than 10,
none of our teams have 17 Hall of Famers. I just want you to know that.
Well, no, you just said 10, so that's the highest, right?
No, the high. No,
the highest.
That's the lowest. 10. This is the lowest. 10 is the lowest.
10's the lowest. Oh,
10 is the lowest.
I misunderstood.
But none of the teams have 17.
Okay. So I gotcha. So if this is the lowest, then it's probably the Tigers.
It is not. It's the Reds.
It's the Reds.
Dennis, I can't believe you're sleeping on Detroit Tigers history.
Ty Cobb.
Ty Cobb.
Okay, that's one.
Hank Greenberg. Al Kaline.
12 Hall of Famers for the Tigers. And the Cubs number 4 all time with 14.
Fly it, Dennis. Fly it.
Reds have 11. The Reds have 11. You know it.
Still behind us.
Everybody knows it. We're one away. When Votto gets in, that'll be 12.
All right, I'm going to the Hall of Famers for good old Detroit, Dennis. You're gonna have to listen and eat crow here.
I'm gonna attempt to name some. I know Ty Cobb, Al Kaline, and Hank Greenberg. I think those three are
correct.
I don't think they let Lou Whitaker in yet.
Sweet Lou retired at America, not in Hall of Fame yet.
I didn't think so. I don't know if Pudge Rodriguez counts, or did they give him to the Rangers?
I don't think he is technically. I mean, he didn't play the most games with Detroit out of any team.
Right.
So
I don't think he was inducted as
I think
a
they're
Tiger.
just counting here people that played more games with Detroit than anybody else.
Probably. Well, it's probably who they were inducted with their hat with, is my guess. Because like some guys in the Hall of Fame didn't play the most games with their respective teams, but were the most
Okay,
impactful.
I need to go to a different website then. Here we go. Hall of Fame register.
Yeah, that'll probably be better.
Yeah. Here we go.
Greenberg, K-Line, and Ty Cobb are definitely in his Tigers, though. That much I'm pretty confident on.
Yes.
It's gonna be some old dudes, some real old dudes. You got any guesses, Dennis? Kurt Gibson?
No, I'm not thinking for the Tigers.
Kurt Gibson? Probably not. Yeah, I don't think I got anything else outside of those three. That's pretty much the extent of my historic Tigers knowledge.
I mean, what about Alan Trammell's on it?
Oh, Alan Trammell. Yes.
I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, that's a bad miss. It's a bad miss on my part.
I mean, I won't go through all the names, but we got some Jack Morris.
He's recent. He's recent, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, come on, Jack Morris, got to get him in there. I mean, is it time to put? I mean,
oh, Hal Newhouser. How'd I miss Hal? Dang it!
Can't miss him. 1939 to 1953.
That's a bad miss.
Mm-hmm.
How can you not put Sparky Anderson in the Hoff? Oh wait a minute, he is in the Hoff.
He is in the Hoff.
He is.
Come on, Dennis.
I don't know.
As a Red,
Sparky.
right? As a Reds manager.
I believe he was inducted as a Red. I think so.
Legendary Sparky Anderson.
He was a legend.
Let's see if the Cincinnati Reds in the Hall of Fame. I think it's going to say Pete Rose wishes he was here, but he's not.
I mean, Barry Larkin, easy. Barry Larkin's
Junior winning as a Mariner, which was frustrating, but I get it.
How does that happen, Dennis?
Because that's where he came into the league with his dad.
I hate it. Doesn't give a. What's the website that you use, Derek, for this? Because they do not. All the places that I'm looking, they love to give players like that played for the Reds, but not necessarily were inducted.
It's because I found that 31 players to play for the Reds that are in the Hall of Fame, but not all of them went in as a Red. And I can't find the distinction.
Let me.
Not that it's really that important. I just kind of wondered where to look.
So I'm currently on the
Here we go.
The actual Hall of Fame website, baseballhall.org.
Yeah.
Dennis, are you looking at it too, or are you trying to guess your Hall of Famers?
That's what I just pulled up. Sorry, I should have guessed some of these because I could have gotten some of them.
I mean, you definitely would have got Bench,
Larkin, Joe Morgan, Tony Perez. I would have gotten all of the Frank Robinson. I wouldn't have got Ed Roush, Eppo Rixley, Bill McKenzie. I would have been mad that I didn't get Ernie Lombardi, but I probably wouldn't have got
that. Wild.
Dang.
I mean, Ty Cobb, baby.
Legend.
Barely even got a picture of this guy.
He's old.
Class of 1936. Imagine being inducted to the Hall of Fame in 1936.
What ticks me off about the Cubs is two of the pictures they use. Wait a second. Is Bruce Sutter in as a Cub or a Cardinal?
I would imagine a Cardinal. I don't know, though.
Because his picture is a cardinal. And his hat is a cardinal. But they have him listed as a... Oh, some guys are dual teams, aren't they? Yeah, some guys are dual teams.
Do they get to do dual? Okay, all right, that makes sense.
Because I'm searching by primary team
Yeah, that's what I did.
on here, and I've got like Sparky comes up for Detroit.
Right. Yeah, I think some guys they're inducted for multiple teams. Yeah, I think the Hall of Fame details their primary team. If they have one. And this says his primary team is the Cubs for Bruce Sutter. So I'm going to take it, even though his hat plaque is a Cardinal.
Wow. Well, there you have
Good
it.
stuff. Good stuff. Trip down memory lane.
That's
into
right.
the history books.
Derek, may I start
the history
off
books.
the right bench ballers?
Yes, you may.
I would like to kick off spring training action by giving props to a Cincinnati Red, none other than Christian Encarnacion Strand, baby, who
Oh
went
my lord.
yabba dabba doo for a grand salami in a 14-14
Finish the 14-14 tie with the Oakland Athletics, ladies and gentlemen. The 14-14 draw, as it were.
That's, I mean, ridiculous. In a game which a grand total of 29 hits were recorded in this game.
And the shift.
But there you have it.
Bases.
Some dude fighting for his career here from Walnut Creek, California. 23 years old, just like us.
Well, like some of us, I suppose.
Correct. I mean, some people are old farts, but anyway, yeah, 23 years old. Wow. Christian, great work.
I mean, shout out to Christian. I'm going college basketball. I wanted to go, even though it wouldn't have really fit the spirit of the rule, with, it's still a shout out, Antoine Davis from Detroit Mercy, who was set to set the scoring record, the NCAA scoring record, tonight, but I believe came up 2 points short of Pistol Pete.
Rip.
And unfortunately, Detroit has been eliminated from the Horizon League tournament, so I don't know if he's going to break it at this point. Now, I don't know if like NIT counts, or like I don't know how that kind of stuff works, so I don't know if he's going to get there. But they're out. They lost to Youngstown State tonight, so rip Antoine Davis, but still a cool story. But anyway, I'm gonna go with Matthew Cleveland. He was the dude from Florida State that hit the buzzer beater 3 against Miami on Saturday. So he had 20 points, 5 boards, and the buzzer beater 3. So that's what I'm gonna go with.
Antoine Davis shot 7 of 26 tonight and 4 of 17 in the second half. He is 4 points short of Pistol Pete.
4, okay.
And the Titans of Detroit Mercy are ineligible for the NIT and the NCAA tournament. However, if Detroit Mercy is invited to the CBI or the Basketball Classic, he would have a chance to break the all-time scoring record. But if and only if Detroit Mercy is invited to a different postseason tournament that allows teams with under 500 records in.
Wow. Unbelievable. Wow. It could happen.
It could.
It's got to happen. Somebody's got to send him an invite.
Someone.
I mean, come on. It's just pity invite. Come on. Let's get it. Let's make it happen for Detroit Mercy. Follow it. Let's come on.
My right bench baller, Oslavis Basabe, of the Tampa
Sounds
Bay
like a right bitch baller.
of the Tampa Bay Rays, February 26th against the Boston Red Sox, also hit a grand slam and is currently the spring training leader in RBI, Oslavis Basabe, 22 years old,
Making a name for himself.
of the
Love it.
Tampa Bay
Love it.
Rays. 7 RBI in 3 games in spring training, and 4 spring training games thus far. Attaboy Oslavis.
Massive.
Bob, your winner.
A lot of different ways. A lot of different ways to go here. But let me check on one final thing real quick. Just wanted to check on this because I had something that I had in mind. If it was done, but of course it is not because the game takes place today. But I'm gonna do it just anyway. We've got CMU as the winner of the week, CMU basketball, because today, when you guys are watching this when it is posted, by tonight, they will have beaten, I'm predicting, the Western Michigan Broncos in basketball. I'm putting a preemptive winner down because, as you can see, check the hat out, Dennis. Check the hat. CMU, baby. We're going to be
Fire up
taking
chips,
down
baby.
the
Fire up
Western
chips.
Michigan Broncos in a absolute barn burner. Got to get ready for that MAC tournament in which we need a win. I mean, it's the final game of the season in regular tournament play, and we are desperate.
Bobby, is there a chance that CMU goes dancing? But they run the table in the MAC tournament.
Not looking great. I'm not going to lie to you, Dennis.
No.
I also didn't want to mention that I did see that the ECU Pirates pulled out a blowout win the other day against another American school, and I don't quite remember what it was, maybe Tulane. And I just wanted to say, let's go Pirates after.
Believe in the Pirates of ECU.
Also, they had a historic victory
go for
over
it every time.
Cincy not too long ago. So, I know that's a little sore subject for Dennis, but CMU preemptive winner of the week.
Hopefully.
That's all right. UC's got the bye in the American Conference Tournament already, and ECU is going to be wiping the floor after we beat whoever we beat, and they're already out of the tournament, so it's okay.
Dennis, who's your winner?
I'll share a winner. I'm gonna go Desmond Ridder, baby. Desmond Ridder is a winner. Marcus Mariota released from the Atlanta Falcons. In line to take the starting position. My other winner was going to be Washington Commanders fans for getting rid of Carson Wentz. Massive winner there too. So both in the world of football, and both because people were released by their respective teams.
Correct. My winner is March Madness before March. Because last weekend's college basketball slate was absolutely wild. We had my Arizona Wildcats lose on their buzzer beater. We had Bob's MSU Spartans blow a double-digit lead in 1 minute. We had Florida State, as Dennis mentioned, knock off Miami at the buzzer after Miami almost won at the buzzer. We had Hunter Dickinson nailing probably the greatest 3 in Michigan basketball history since Jordan Poole's game winner against Houston, in which Michigan ended up being Wisconsin. It was a great weekend for college basketball last weekend. So March and February was my winner of the week.
Also, shout out with all the college basketball stuff. Shout out to Nova, baby, getting hot at the right time. We're finally making a run. Justin Moore is back. Creighton, Xavier, Seton Hall. You can count who's next. UConn on Saturday. We're going dancing, baby. Come on. Let's go, Cats.
Mid-Nova. The Villanova mild Cats, perhaps.
Well, they've been, I mean, you know just as well as I do that it's all this time of year, it's all about getting hot at the right time.
That's true.
And having the momentum. And sure, the first half of the season, we were incredibly mid. Mid would be generous, but we're turning that corner. So let's go.
Anything can happen in the conference tournament,
That's right.
Dennis.
The Garden could be crazy.
Bob,
Could go down at the Garden.
you're a loser.
Well, actually, now that I look at this, I have no choice but to go with Mid-American Michigan Schools men's basketball programs because I'm looking at the Mid-American Conference standings right now. Last three, this is all right, from last to third from last year. Western, Eastern, and Central currently. So
Dude,
that
how
means
is Eastern so bad with Amani Bates? It's disgusting.
Because they play no defense and they only have Imani Bates.
That's true.
and I would just like to point out
Sad.
does mean that one of the two teams that is worse than CMU in the standings would be none other than the Western Michigan Broncos, which means we've got a chance, baby.
They do got a
There
chance.
you go.
I mean, Bob, surely, Bob, with your Central Michigan pride, was at the CMU Western game where they threw the toilet paper to rekindle the tradition for the 20th anniversary or whatever, which ended with a CMU buzzer beater win over Western Michigan. Surely you were in attendance.
Stunning, once in a lifetime stuff. Stunning once in a lifetime stuff.
Surely you were in attendance, Bob.
that I watched on Instagram after the fact.
That's sick. That's sick, Bob. Unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
My loser of the week is Carson Wentz.
Oh God.
I don't know.
I almost did that.
Who is going to sign the man? Who is going to sign the man?
Nobody.
And
Nobody.
Atlanta.
He's absolutely broken.
China.
Atlanta.
He needs to learn Chinese. He better learn Chinese.
I mean,
Atlanta.
He is absolutely broken. I mean, unless the Raiders take a flyer on him.
XFL.
It's crazy. I mean,
Canada.
This guy was a near MVP before his injury. And in a span of 12 months went from MVP to completely unplayable. It is one of the most shocking NFL career downfalls that I've ever seen. Surely you've had guys do stupid things like Michael Vick or Ray Rice that get them kicked out of the league for an extended period of time or forever. But like, and obviously Antonio Brown is an entirely separate ordeal, but like a guy who's just absolutely broken as a football player, I've never seen anything like it. So walk it to him once. Been walking it to the other team for too many teams and has been cut yet again. Unfortunate.
It is. I'm gonna go. I had a couple on here actually. The losers were plentiful for me this week.
Sure.
Because
just rattle them off, Dennis. Rattle them off.
Because I had Wentz on here too, and before I flipped it to a win for Commanders fans. I got to start with Gavin Lux. Season-ending injury in spring training just sucks. Big rip. Yeah, just tough. We already touched on this, but I wanted to say baseball fans for the stupid pitch clock are losers. But we had a very in-depth discussion about that earlier. And then lastly, on a serious note, Jalen Carter for being arrested kind of falls within the realm of losers. Not a good week for him.
Brandon Miller is both a winner
Miller as well.
Not Brandon Paul Miller, but Brandon Miller, the Alabama basketball player, not to be confused with CMU legend and Ionia Bulldog legend Brandon Paul Miller.
Correct. Also, the entire New Mexico State basketball program for completely, literally losing every single game the rest of the season because they forfeited them all because there's some not great stuff going on there.
Yeah, that's Yeah, that entire program is a dumpster fire. But yeah, Brandon Miller is a winner for just balling out ever since that bombshell dropped, but he's also a loser for doing his pat down pregame routine after said news came to light. Also, Nate Oates, fat loser. Nate Oates could not have handled those press conferences any worse than he did. I've never seen anyone use wrong place at the wrong time to describe someone who was at a murder scene.
Correct.
Mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. I should be more specific. Allegedly at the crime scene of the time of the murder and was associated with the people who committed said murder allegedly. Not trying to get sued. But yeah, crazy. Any other losers, Dennis?
I've exhausted my list, but those are some good ones that we added on there. Definitely.
Bob, do you got any other losers?
No other losers for me.
All right. Do you have? It's been a while. A garbage time takes your money.
This is definitely like season 2 of Garbage Time Takes Your Money. We've
Yes.
exited the NFL season.
To recap, the last Garbage Time Takes Your Money segment was the Super Bowl. For those of who don't remember, which is everyone, the Eagles were favorites, 1.5 point favorites, and the over-under was 50.5. The over cleared by what? Early third quarter, I think. I mean, that game was it was an electric game. The Chiefs obviously covered. That put me at 2 for 2. Dennis, unfortunately, 0 for 2. And Bob, 1 for 2.
Heck yeah.
So that is, while you guys are talking about whatever Bob's next pick is for this week, I'll see if I can tally up the results for season 1.
All right, let's go. Let's hit it, Bobby.
Season 2 begin.
I'm ready.
All right. Guess we're gonna have to go to the NBA world because, let's be honest, we really don't have much else to go with unless we want to put a prediction down on the Arnold Palmer. But I think if we're gonna keep it in traditional format, we got to go to basketball. So, Dennis,
It's a very different different expertise on my side with one of those versus the other.
we're gonna have to go to a game that's gonna occur tomorrow night. One that I'm particularly interested in. It's gonna be the Memphis Grizzlies, Dennis, at the Denver Nuggets. I know you know a lot about both those teams, Dennis.
I definitely do. Yes.
Correct. And the line currently is Denver Nuggets minus 5.5 points. And the over-under of this game at 233.5.
I'm seeing the first and second teams currently in the Western Conference standings. Big game out in the West. I will go, man, 5.5. I'm tempted on both sides of this one. Obviously, I'm not an expert, and usually you can fade my NBA picks, but solely given the fact that I think this is a game that both teams really want to win, and I think that actually matters in the NBA, which is sad. I think I will go with the Grizzlies to cover the 5.5 because I think it'll be close, and I'll just give me the points. I'll take the extra cushion, and then on the over/under side of things, this is sort of unprecedented, but I will go under because this is the kind of game that defense gets played in. And that is enough for me to say under.
Did you say you took the Grizzlies, Dennis?
I'm going to take the Grizzlies in the points, but I think very, very much Denver on the money line.
Okay.
At home in Denver.
Bob, what you got? I'll make it simple. I don't watch enough NBA to have too much of an idea. Obviously, I know that the Nuggets and Grizzlies are two of the top teams in the West. I don't know if the Grizzlies have sort of righted their ship after their losing skid. Um, but I just really like Nikola Jokic, and so I'm going to go with the Nuggets to cover and the over because I refuse to take the under in an NBA game with the MVP and the Grizzlies involved.
I'm going to go with the under on this one, actually. I like Dennis. I think he hit the nail on the head. This is the kind of game that defense gets played in. And because of that, I'm pretty skeptical. These games are really finicky with how they end because they either end like 1 point ball games or like blowouts. I don't know why. It's just like so weird. Like it's almost always a like very, very close game, or just it ends up being like a 15-point game at the end. And it's like it doesn't really matter. I like the Nuggets to definitely win this game. But because of the under pick, I'm gonna go with the Grizzlies to cover.
Makes sense.
Okay. I'm trying to tally these up as quick as I can.
We can always throw it on the next pod if you'd like.
We can. Bob, feel free to take your time with plugging the socials while I continue to chart this.
Okay. So, folks,
I'm interested to see how this goes. I'll distract you. I'll be a distraction while Bobby tries to get this done. I'll ask questions.
You can find our Instagram at
Where?
Garbage Time Takes Your Money.
Thank you.
At you. Garbage Time Takes.
Garbage Time. That's not right. Garbage Time Takes.
Garbage Time Takes. I was told to take my time, Dennis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we
Twitter,
can add words to the handle, which add words.
Garb Time Takes on Twitter. You can find the link to our website in the description of this video below. And of course, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. We would really, really appreciate it. And of course, this is our first pod in a few weeks with the band back together, and we'd love to see that support.
You got any articles coming out? You got anything in the works?
I might release an article right after you do, Dennis.
Right after me? On what?
Well,
you should put one out on the Valero Texas Open.
I think I might put one out on how finally I was just a year early on my regression pick for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh my gosh! That hurts me to say. All right, that hurts me to hear.
I'm just kidding. I'm not making any official predictions on that yet, but it is an enticing idea. I will say, Dennis.
Well, you should put one out on Detroit Hall of Famer, Detroit Tiger Hall of Famer bios.
Ty Cobb
Breakdown. Ty Cobb.
Iconic, most iconic, underrated player.
It's why the Detroit Tigers have more Hall of Famers than the Cincinnati Reds.
Even if you count one of them who's out due to gambling.
Correct.
Did Ken Griffey Jr. snub the Reds?
He did, man. He did. Brutal. He got his 500th home run with us.
That's what we could do a article on. There goes the count going. We were off the rails.
People are definitely done listening to us at this point.
I just lost my count. I'm so mad. I was
Bobby,
so close.
I got my loser for next week.
I was 8 picks away from being
the
done,
audience.
And I lost my count.
No. Oh man.
You guys are doing great.
Continue stalling.
You guys are doing great.
We're doing great filling in the gap here. That's fantastic to hear.
Dennis, what?
I mean, I could just talk about.
I got something, Dennis.
Okay, hit me up.
What is your post? What is your post GTT pod prediction for the match that will likely occur between Derek and you in chess. What's the score prediction?
Oh man,
because there always is a match. There's always a match post pod.
Yeah, we usually go through a
insiders
match.
know this is the tradition. What do you?
And I've
what do you
noticed
got
that
as the score?
this is typically ended like 7-3, 7-4 in favor of Derek like 3 times in a row.
Can you flip the script?
Here's the thing. But I mean, I could flip the script, or I could be done early, because what typically happens is it's like 3-2 Derek or 3-3, and we're like tied up, and I'm like feeling pretty good about it, and then I keep going, but as it's at that point 2:30 a.m. on the East Coast, and Derek is still waking up from his you know, his morning, his bright and early morning over there in Arizona. He's got a little more alertness to him, and then he snags like 3 or 4 in a row at the end, and then it's way too late, and I call it a night. So, I'll say that I've caught on to this trend. If we go a full 9 or 10, it could end up being 7-3 again. But I might have to call this one a little bit short, and we might end it like, if I can snag 3 of the first 5, I think I'm gonna be done. I'll take a dub at 3-2.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right.
That's a good question.
All right. After the long-awaited stalling done by my co-hosts, season results are as follows. Dennis, number 1 for season 1 at 27 and 24 for
Take my picks, baby.
For a 52.94 win percentage.
That's winning. That's money making right there. That's money making.
Depends on the units, Dennis. Depends on the units.
Units on everything.
In second place, yours truly, 26 and 27 for a 49.05 win percentage. And in third place was Bob, 25 and 28 for a 47.17 win.
Not bad for the Devil's Advocate. Not bad for the Devil's Advocate, Bob, who had to take the changed team every time.
As well as that, I nailed the Astros in 6 for the World Series, so I just thought I'd throw that in there. I didn't factor that into the results, but that was a pretty good guess. So, Dennis, congratulations on being our Season 1 GTT Your Money Champion. Even if...
We're only looking to improve on
None
Season 2,
of us were that
baby.
bad. None of us were that bad, honestly.
I mean, gambling is literally just 50-50, and we're all, like, right there. Even though Dennis missed a week, he still had 27, which was the most total correct, so his win percentage still would have been above 50% and greater than both mine and Bob's.
I was feeling pretty good there through football season. I had my my takes down during football season.
You had your moments.
The NBA might be rough.
NBA
might be rough.
You really turned it on, Dennis, over the last, 4 weeks of the season.
I knew it.
Might have to give my golf pick of the week this summer, because I can get going on those.
We don't want to do too many of those. I've got the Nick Lodolo strikeout Dennis special here that went red in a game of the Cubs versus the Reds. So might not. The prop bets may need to be reined in, but we shall see. We shall see.
Forgot about that. That was legendary.
That was legendary. Remember, kids, always fade Dean Kramer.
Guarantee.
Always fade Dean Kramer.
You gotta fade Dean. You can't support Dean. Gotta fade him.
Any other things before we wrap up?
And Randy Rosarita, Bobby. If Randy Rosarita is involved in the game, do not bet it. Do not bet a game in which Randy Rosarita is in right field. Can't do it.
Well,
we're good, Derek.
All right, that'll wrap it up. Thanks again. Glad to have the 3 of us back at once. It was a blast. Hope you guys had a blast with us. We will see you next week for the next episode of Garbage Time Takes, and we thank you so much for watching. With that, in 3,
2,
1,
peace.
Peace.